everybody's got, the majority of them is not involved. They are functioning on something like 3% of their entire knowledge. And it's a matter of digging deeper and deeper to get that ancient history to come forward and to turn what is a recessive knowledge or dormant knowledge into an active knowledge. Did you ever see the movie Jonathan Seagull?
Uh-uh.
You got to see that.
Uh-uh.
They follow boats out in the ocean who are fishing and throwing the scraps overboard. Jonathan's a guy like you. He's a seagull, and all of a sudden he realizes that following fishing boats and eating their garbage is a boring way to spend one's life. Besides that, he wants to be different. His parents give him shit. Why can't you be like all the others and do what you're told? But he wants to fly. He wants to fly higher, fly faster, tries and fails and crashes and picks himself up and tries again, and parents give him hell. And first thing you know, he's the fastest flying bird in the flock, and other young birds start to follow him. He's more interested in how fast he can go. And then he comes across this girlfriend that he hangs out with, and they come across a teacher, old Seagull. Seagull teaches him a lesson. He said, flying, Jonathan, flying fast is just a number. There always will be a bigger number. You want to learn to fly fast, Jonathan, must begin by believing you have already arrived. Perfect speed in flying, Jonathan, is being there. That's what you have to learn, that you have already arrived. What that means is when you want to be something, you have to act like you already were. You may not be able to carry every aspect of the thing, but you can, in fact, be mentally in the place you want to be before you physically arrive.
Pigeons are the birds we probably come across most in our daily lives. These tiny creatures may not attract many people's attention, but when we examine them closely, they are a miracle of creation. In order to see the truth of this, let us consider how a pigeon takes off from the ground and witness a flawless piece of engineering design. First of all, the pigeon jumps up in the air. It then raises its wings at the moment its feet leave the ground and pushes the air behind it with all its strength. It then leads slightly forward. It has now risen high enough in the air to be able to move forward. Larger birds than pigeons cannot perform this difficult movement more than twice. Really large birds, such as the albatross, cannot do it at all, although they possess other techniques allowing them to leave the ground. One example is running along at ever-increasing speed. That is a technique also used by us in aeroplanes. The most tiring part of flight for most birds is the moment of takeoff. Once that has been achieved, a bird can easily glide in the air. So, what is it that enables a bird to stay up in the air once takeoff has been achieved? The answer lies in the flawless engineering design in the wing. The back of the wing curls slightly downwards. Air passing under the wing strikes that part and exerts a force on it. That lifts the bird upwards. Air passing over the wing, on the other hand, is deflected upwards by the front of the wing, and air pressure on top of the wing is reduced. That also pulls the bird upwards. If there is sufficient current, the attractive force above the wing and the lifting power from underneath are sufficient to keep the bird in the air. It is this factor that allows the albatross to stay aloft for hours without once flapping its wings, just making use of the rising currents of air. Other birds create the necessary current underneath their wings themselves, flapping their wings to do so. This bird is literally rowing in the air. It pulls half of its wing in towards its body as it raises it, thus reducing friction. It then fully opens its wings as it lowers them again. The feathers intermingle with every movement. Thus, although the wing changes shape at all time, the underside of the wing stays completely smooth. Birds' feathers and wing shapes are aerodynamically quite perfect. Even though this duck flies at speeds approaching 70 kilometers an hour, it looks as if it's just gliding slowly through the air, thanks to its perfect aerodynamic structure.
I was a serviceman for an international duplicator company. I wanted to be the president. So taking the lesson from Jonathan Seagull, I started to think like the president. A president basically looks at the bigger picture, not just at his job. I started to deal with the people around me, basically using the pattern of the next job above me. First thing I know, when there was an opening in sales, they said, why do we have Keeley in service when he really acts like a salesman? So they made me a salesman. Then I began to act like the sales manager. And then I began to act like the president. The president said to me, there's only one president, and I'm it. You can't be president. I said, I know that. That's why I'm here. I'm here to resign. Because I'm going off to be the president. I want what you have. And you're not about to leave. And I went out and I opened my own company and became the president. Then along the way, I discovered that president was not really what I wanted to be. What I wanted to be was more teacher. And the only reason I didn't want to be the teacher is because there was no money in it. Until, as the president of my company, I was approached by a politician who asked me for a bribe on behalf of the Prime Minister and the Cabinet, and I refused to pay. I knew the consequences would be that they would do what they needed to do to shut down my business. So I basically decided then, well, here's my opportunity to teach. But before I teach, I have to learn what I'm going to teach.
There's a Buddhist story. One of Buddha's students approached him and asked, "Are you the Messiah?" "No," he replied. "Well, are you a healer?" "No," he replied again. "Well, are you a teacher?" "No." Exasperated, the student asked, "Well, then what are you?" Buddha replied, "I am awake." The thought manifests as the word. The word manifests as the deed. The deed develops into habit, and habit hardens into character. So watch the thought and its ways with care. No one saves us but ourselves. No one can and no one may. We ourselves must walk the path. We are what we think. All that we are arises with our thoughts. With our thoughts, we make our world. The last words of Buddha. All conditioned things in the world are changeable. They are not lasting. Try to accomplish your own salvation with diligence.
What are we? We are a chemical language, a message formed by 4 simple but oh so complex bases. The language of DNA.